Good afternoon. My name is Max Wieder. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Celcy, the automated hands-free cooking solution for seniors. Right now, 90% of adults over 65 want to remain at home. Now, most of this is due to the cost of assisted living facilities or nursing homes, which go for $5,000, $10,000, even more. But staying at home has its own risks, mostly time, cost, and health and safety. And if you narrow that to the cooking side, physical and cognitive limitations of cooking, following recipes, grocery store travel, which are known risks, and unhealthy alternatives to going grocery shopping or cooking on yourselves are also a concern. Now, there's also fall risks for being in the kitchen for long times and fire risks. My wife's grandmother used to put her pillows in the oven to keep them warm, and that's just not safe. Now, the burden falls on the adult children to take care of their parents in order to prepare their meals and give them that overall high quality of life. My co-founder's family was spending an hour driving each way to take care of his grandfather, and that was just not sustainable to do that every single day. So enter Celcy. It's a completely remote, end-to-end cooking solution that has both a freezer and an oven all in one, where you can load multiple meals and then from your phone select any of those meals to start cooking. That means you can, from anywhere in the world, start a meal. There's no grocery shopping as they're delivered to your door. They're delicious, healthy meals that are pre-programmed as if the chef is cooking for you, and a very a simple user interface. And let me show you how. So here you can see you just load a meal in, and as you do it, it beeps, a light turns on, and on the app, pop, there it is. At this point, I'm going to show me cooking it now. I just tap it, and I hit cook now, and the device does the rest. I'm going to speed this up, but the whole transfer process takes about a minute. The freezer opens internally. The meal is delidded from any shelf. The device knows what shelf it's on. Pops into the oven where it does convection, conduction, air frying, and we can do breakfast, lunch, dessert, dinner, snacks, anything that can cook in an oven. So now you can go from, hey, Mom, did you eat today? To, hey, Mom, how was breakfast? And you know they're eating it because the device will send you a notification that the meal is actually taken out of the oven. So we're starting with senior care, which is 62 million people. It's a 1.1 billion market in the food service side of the house, growing double digits. Our beachhead within senior care is the single adults, either recently widowed or by choice, and that's roughly a third of these people. Our goal is a 1% market penetration of 200,000 users in the first year, and we have additional markets that we're going to also try to enter over time. We're going to focus more on the B2B side of the house. So we are the only fully IoT hands-free cooking solution for seniors. Now, there's Sous Vide and Tovala. Those are other smart appliances, but they're more like a traditional appliance with a vertically oriented food program. And then there's your more traditional delivery services like Cuisine Solutions or Home Chef, as well as Meals on Wheels, Silver Diner, things of that nature. But because we don't make the food, as we are the carrier of food, all those competitors on the previous slide are potential synergistic partners that we can add to the list of partners that we've already started talking to that said they want to come on board. Like Keurig, we have a standardized tray so anyone can put their food in it, and then we have an online marketplace of all these different partners where meals are delivered to your door. And with all this automation comes automated meal tracking. And as I've said before, the chef who makes that meal programs how it cooks, so you're getting it a high-quality meal for that senior as if that chef was in the kitchen cooking for them. So the meals themselves are $12 on average, and a lot of them are already covered by medical insurance. And the device is going to be $350 if you sign up for a 6-month subscription of 15 meals per month. But we're also looking at getting the device covered by medical insurance as we show quality of life increase. As I said, we're targeting 200,000 users over 3 years, which would make us profitable as our recurring revenue from the meal sales grows from 17% to 22% of our overall revenue. This is me and my team. My co-founder and I have been working for 25 plus years in engineering, hardware, software, as well as project management. We have 4 engineering degrees from Hopkins. We have an extended team with over 100 plus years of experience. 2 of them I pulled out of retirement, as well as a very large advisory board covering the full spectrum of manufacturing, hardware, food logistics, branding, as well as other partner accelerators that we've worked with over the years. And I say years because we've been at this for 6 years, bootstrapping our R&D, filing patents, raising awareness, really building the iterations of the hardware. Because unlike software, you only get one shot of pushing hardware out there. So we actually just last month ran our first beta unit through our production line in preparation for upcoming beta launch. We're raising $1.5 million to fulfill that beta launch, which is building 100 units, which will also fulfill our pre-sold out beta experience. The users in that beta experience actually validate the customer segment that we're going after, which further validates the 1,500 people that we've interviewed over the years to really figure out all the key functionality that we had to build in. So please join us as we help enable independence, save money, save time for better health and better outcomes. Thank you.
That is a great tagline. Well done, Max. And thank you for a terrific pitch. And up first for the judges will be a question from Yasmin.
Hi, Max. This is wonderful. I love your tagline. I looked at your website. That looks really, really nice as well. Here's my question, though. What would you say to a critic that would say, all you're doing is you're solving the issue of moving the meal from the freezer to the oven. That's the time that you are really truly saving, because it is a frozen meal. It's not a fresh meal. So talk to me a little bit about that. And then the second question is around, have you really secured a Meals on Wheels relationship or a relationship with insurance companies that you were talking about? How far along are you in those discussions?
Yeah. So I'll start with the first one. So because we're a completely hands-off device that can be remotely started, we're not just saving the time of the process of taking it out of the freezer and putting it in the oven. We're saving the time of going, preheating the oven, and the actual cook time. Because from your bed or from someone else's phone, you can schedule a meal to be ready at a certain time in the future. Preheating the oven takes 15 minutes, and some meals take 2 to 3 hours to cook, especially if the chef who wants a good quality meal. A lot of people say about why can't I just throw in the microwave, but it's again about quality. When you put something in the microwave, you're getting hot spots, cold spots. You can never get crispy. And then oven, it's a time commitment. And going back to the ultimate risks of fall risk, standing there, transferring it, dropping the hot meal. There's also a lot of energy waste if you're going after a single meal to preheat a full-size oven and then cook a single serve meal in there. It's a lot of commitment. And then going back to the monitoring side of the house, that's very dependent on that senior doing that by themselves on their own. And there's no information to their children, to their healthcare provider that they're actually doing it. And with our device, I can start the meal for my grandparent, and then I can get a notification that they took it out of the oven. Also, when I started, I can call them and say, your meal's going to be ready in 2 hours and 30 minutes. So that's kind of that side of the house. On the food side of the house for partnerships, I had some over there. We don't have partnerships with the big brands. A lot of the big brands that we've talked to want to see us in the market showing validating the usage of this. So we have a lot of smaller food companies, relatively size, that go through licensing agreements to a single co-packer to distribute that. From a insurance perspective, again, it's usage in the market. The showing quality of life has to be a quantitative analysis that we can prove through the data that the amount of food they did, their nutrition, the longevity, the overall quality increase before insurance will then add it as a medical insurance coverage. So we have to go through the process of being out there before we can do it, which is why it was an asterisk saying we're pursuing that. But we started those conversations and we know the process we have to do, but ultimately we have to be in the market to start that process.
And what about with Meals on Wheels? Were you able to run a pilot or anything with them yet?
So it's a lot of a chicken and egg situation. The meal companies, because they have these big co-packer production lines, when they run a production line, they're producing 100,000 meals typically in a 12-hour segment. So they usually will do a licensing agreement to our co-packer in order to do it. But the co-packer is not ready to produce meals until there's units out in the field. So that's what this beta program's for. The funding that we're raising is to push the units out there, take the licensing agreements, produce a small quantity of meals, and get them out there and start getting that actual data of usage.
I think you've kind of answered my question, but Meals on Wheels is the nonprofit I was talking about. But yeah, I think you're still working on those relationships. Thank you so much.
With that specific provider, correct?
Yes, thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, Glennis.
Nice. I was a bit trigger happy there. Thank you. So very, very intriguing, and congratulations on getting to beta.
Thank you.
I think, oops, sorry. I think there are several big questions. So first of all, why are you deciding to be a Keurig rather than an espresso? And is there any proprietary packaging? So can anyone, it looks like a standard format of aluminum, of plasticware, etc. So what's the unique identifier? I'm assuming barcodes. But is there any proprietary packaging that people will have to adopt and get into their workflows in order to incorporate into your ecosystem?
Yeah. So the first question, why not Nespresso versus Keurig? And my marketing people would tell me to say Nespresso. It's that higher quality. But one of the key differences is that Nespresso has their own product line first before there's the expansion. And what we want to differentiate by saying Keurig, which is a more well-known household name in the US, first off, is that we don't have an in-house brand, and we don't want to take on the risk of producing the food. There are plenty of people that produce food. It's their bread and butter, literally. And so we want to leverage that to offer those chefs who, they make a fantastic meal and then people are complaining because they put it in a microwave or they take it out of the oven too fast. And it gives them an opportunity to have the end user truly experience the meal as it was intended to be. So that's the kind of difference between the Keurig and espresso tagline. Your second question, can you repeat it real quick? Sorry.
So the proprietary packaging and the
Yes.
Nespresso Keurig, I think those questions go hand in
Yep.
hand.
So
But
the
I'm
tray
also
itself is aluminum. It's a standard tray, but it's how it's formed. It's the size and the fact that the way it holds the lid on is unique. So it allows you to store the meal covered, but then it can delid it. So it's got the mechanics built in for the device to be able to delid it. The lid, again, is just cardboard, but it's a unique form factor. It's got an RFID tag in it, so it actually allows for a lot more information than the barcode. So your other question.
Oh, okay. And so that your form factor in terms of the packaging can be easily incorporated into food packaging, food packagers. Okay.
Yes.
The other question I have is in terms of the market segmentation and the user insights you have, what portion of the elderly population actually is interested in this solution? Because I can imagine it's not for everybody, but do you have a sense of who is this a critical need for?
Right. So this is where it gets different between the user and the consumer. The end user is the senior, but the consumer is actually their child who's purchasing it for them to provide that peace of mind, provide that, because what is happening is a large percentage of the aging in place, it starts decreasing the amount they eat, especially if they're recently widowed. In our personal experience, that when my wife's grandfather was widowed, we were going over to teach him how to boil water. It was just, he did not know how to do anything. And that is the large segment of people in there. Now, I said it's 20 million people right now that are single aging in place. And that's why I said, we know it's not for everyone in there. I have my grandmother's best friend is 95 and she's walking everywhere, completely self-sufficient. And it's fantastic. But we understand that it's at least 50% that are going to need this, or their children want it for them for remote monitoring purposes to ensure good nutrition. And because a lot of those meal delivery services, you're locked into one brand. And so what you do is you get meal exhaustion, and it's just a quality of life situation.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you. I can relate to the meal exhaustion and the challenges as taking care of an elderly parent.
Yeah.
Super. All right. And Tiffany, you're up.
Just very quickly, Max, are you also thinking about having some partnerships where people will help sign on these elderly folks for these benefits? Just because I feel like those types of partnerships will also help you gain some traction too.
Yeah, so we've actually been talking with a number of traveling nurse agencies that provide that service where they're coming to the house and providing at-home coverage. And one of the things that is always difficult is when it comes to eating, you have to eat every day. So then you start getting this need of care every single day. While talking to them, they can offer this as an opportunity to decrease the amount of physical coverage having to be there. They can bring a large number of meals loaded up and cover them for 2-3 days, depending on their usage amount. And that would decrease the cost, which allows them to get more business. So it allows them to get the foot in the door, while the cost is more so on the food side than taking their pills. They're not forgetful. They're not needing the physical assistance as much, but it's more so for that care. And so we've been talking to them, and so they would help push this out the door as an option for helping reduce the cost of the actual service. All right, thank you all for the questions.